Kia ora koutou katoa nau mai hara mai ki te awa Hākinakina, your sports show right here on your Tribal Pulse, te kore mako o Taranaki 94.8 FM and 98.4 FM. Well, he's a respected pou within Taranaki Māori Rugby, known for his leadership both on and off the field. His influence also extends nationally through his involvement with New Zealand Māori Rugby, with camps and kaupapa. And beyond rugby, he owns Waitara Health and Fitness, where he advocates for rangatahi and community wellbeing. A proud Clifton Club member, he continues to inspire through his commitment to whānau, sport, and the growth of Māori pathways. Nau mai, hara mai, Te Waiti Mareikura. Kia ora, my bro, how are we?
O, tēnā koe e hoa. Pai ki te tūtaki i a koe.
Che, good to have you on the show, my bro. We were just talking before. I've had your name on the little list for a little while now, so stoked to have you on the show. But hey, before we get started, ko wai koe no e koe, a bit about yourself and where you're from.
He uri no te kawe maunga, rua peu ki Taranaki, ko ngā iwi, Ngāti Rangi, ko te Atiawa, Ngāti Maniapoto, Ngāti Pikiao, Waikato hoki, Waikato, awa, me Wanganui, te awa tipua. Ko Te Waiti Mareikura ahau.
Awesome. Awesome, bro. Now, hey, your earlier life, like, tell us a little bit about your upbringing. Where were you brought up and what sports did you play as a young fella, and who were some of your idols growing up?
Tipaki au te tau te maunga rua peu ngō Ngāti Rangi. So I brought up, so my whakapapa Ngāti Rangi te Atiawa through my kuia, Nana Biri, Mareikura. And then went on to Hato Paora, but we were back and forward as a kid, out to Parihaka, when we were little, and just maintaining our connection there through my kuia, Betty. And yeah, went to Hato Paora, and it was there that we laid the foundation and followed the footpath of my papa, and a lot of my whānau that went to Hato Paora, and then that led on to have an opportunity down in Otago, their rugby academy and their sports institute, and then did my studies down there, sports science in Māori, and yeah, just continued my rugby pathway. Didn't quite get to the top down there through injury, but yeah, followed various kaupapa and obviously our duties within our iwi, particular Ngāti Rangi, upholding our mau, rākau, and kaupapa on the marae, and continue that today, and heavily involvement. And actually coming to Taranaki actually was through toka, which I'll talk about when we speak to Taranaki Māori Rugby and our involvement there. But it was working alongside my my dad with the doc. He was a paukura taiao. Then they needed some players, so he got me down, and it was actually out in Coastal that many are aware of. And then returned to, or allowed me to be out home here, Clifton, alongside my hoa rangatira, my wife, Te Rewa, no Ngāti Mutunga ia. So Ngāti Mutunga, yeah, that's where we're here for the last 13, 14 years. And yeah, Clifton's been our is our home, and has brought a lot of opportunities playing and coaching, and alongside that, working alongside Tūtama Wahine, kaupapa Māori organisation, Tūtama Wahine Te Wao Te Kore, and kaupapa driven initiatives that allowed us to establish our gym here, which is a proactive approach to our rangatahi. And some of the roles that I had been involved in really saw a need for our rangatahi. They weren't in school, or excluded from school, not quite 16, nothing to do. And unfortunately, a lot of our rangatahi, wahine and tāne just lacked the opportunities there. So we had some gear, and off our own back, we started a gym initially in 2018. It goes back to so we've been there since 2018, whānau. And initially it was for our rangatahi, and then we thought to survive due to the time, going down a community initiative, it sort of forced us to open as a business just to survive, which was not an area we wanted to dive down. Working both full-time, both me and Te Waiti, through all this and continue this day. And so it's thriving. Our initial plan to deliver for our rangatahi, and we've had our kaumātua, which we need to further build on now that it's getting to where we need it to be, I guess. And we've had class space, so he maha ngā kōrero, you might need to have some content.
That's beautiful, and I want to speak more soon to your gym, because you're doing amazing stuff out there. Now, I didn't realise that you were down in Otago and how you ended up in Taranaki. I do recall you playing at Coastal now, but just tell us a little bit. Like I heard you played for King Country for a few years as well, and you mentioned the importance of Clifton in your life. What does Clifton mean to you, and how has that club shaped your journey and your rugby journey and your community journey?
Well, Clifton was always home to me. Waitara, being involved, Waitara, that was that pathway was provided from my wife, my darling Te Waiti, and I still at a stage to still be playing competitively. And as I sort of knocked on the 32 mark, my mahi was covering right up to this end of Piopio. I got a bit of a shoulder tap to sort of have a trial up in King Country through one of the selectors there. It sort of seen me earlier in the career, and sort of thought I may have still had the goods, but it was probably the hardest I've ever trained, especially when you're getting on, and the young fellas are like, who's this fella? So I thought and older and wiser, as we all know, I was really lucky to be playing then up in King Country. So I had 3 years there, and then returned and continued on to play for Clifton right to 38, 39. And I'm 42, or just turned 42. I suppose Clifton's provided a lot of opportunities coaching and playing, and my coaching career has started through Clifton, and at the same time maintaining the kaupapa with Taranaki Māori Rugby for the last sort of 7-8 years alongside Toka. So a lot of mahi there, which we can talk about, but coaching journey alongside Matua Colin has sort of really had a major push for me as a mentor in particular, and a sounding board, both high performance and just the skill of connecting with our people. And I suppose for me, my strength is, point of difference is, we'll try and make it a point of difference, is just allowing our tikanga Māori and your ability to uphold yourself, and let that cascade to drive other people and build other people to be better.
Love it. Well, it's definitely a proud club, Clifton, and you mentioned Taranaki Māori Rugby, and I want to come back really shortly to speak about that, because I know you're a po within that space. So whānau, make sure you stay tuned. We're going to go to a quick break now, and we'll be back shortly to speak with Te Waiti Mareikura. Kia ora koutou whānau. We are here with Te Waiti Mareikura. We're having an awesome little kōrero about his journey. Now, Māori Rugby, you've been described as a pou within Taranaki Māori Rugby, and you mentioned tuka and the likes. What does that role mean to you, and, you know, the part that you play in Taranaki Māori Rugby, and how do you carry this responsibility into your everyday mahi that you do with Taranaki Rugby as an RDO and development officer?
Yeah, good question, Caps. I think kaupapa-wise, well, firstly, Taranaki Māori Rugby, we celebrated 100 years of tribal rugby. And so being on board alongside Tuka and really assisting in the mover and shakers that have been there, but seen a need for more of the tautoko, for what little I could provide, which in fact actually spurred on taking up the role with the RDO role, and being placed and driving myself to be placed in Waitara. And that was, yeah, I guess a drive to see more opportunities out in Waitara at an RDO level. And our role was to build capacity within our kura, and exposure of mahi within the union to our schools in Waitara and far north as far as Ahititi schools, where they've got a school roll of 7. And the key there was to bridge not so much a gap, but a relationship alongside Māori Rugby, that our representative seasons can coincide selections of rangatahi and our men prior to the rep season starting, which allows a lot of our under 18s, under 16s, and our men to play for their heritage, so to say. And that mahi still continues. The relationship can be always something to work on, but also expanding more. The real driver is whānau like yourself, Caps, and I know congratulations to all our whānau and our iwi and the involvement with you know, a decade of Taranaki Whānui Māori Rugby League, because it also services a lot of our tāne that both play both codes. But yeah, te mea nui, Caps, yes, the sport's the vehicle, but it's kotahitanga, it's you know, kotahitanga a iwi, a tangata a wairua, and that's the key. And I suppose the AGM's actually coming up soon. I know Tuka will be on Te Korimako to kōrero to that, because there's some really key things in the background moving, and it's really positive and looking positive for Taranaki in terms of our involvement in our rangatahi space, both tāne and wahine, which I probably could talk to shortly around the national level and some of the governing kaupapa to assist Māori Rugby at a national level, and what that looks like pathway-wise. So a continued kaupapa, and we need all the support we can get, and following the tribal tournament, which was put together in a monumental way from our whānau on the ground, but what's needed now is just a lot more tautoko with key people and movers and shakers that can assist some of the bigger things in the plan. So
beautiful, love it. Plenty of awesome memories at those Te Tinia Maui tournaments back in the days. But now, speaking of Te Tinia Maui and the wider New Zealand Māori Rugby kaupapa, now I know you're heavily involved in a lot of those initiatives, those camps. You do some amazing mahi. Those camps are unreal, what they do there for our rangatahi. What do you see as the most important kaupapa being advanced through these spaces?
The most, well, I know at a national level, the camps and tukumihi atu kia koe Tiki Edwards has been driving a kaupapa, and I say kaupapa because the New Zealand Māori under 18s is actually a kaupapa. However, it's still in the New Zealand Rugby Union collective, so New Zealand secondary schools Barbarians and New Zealand Māori 18. So essentially it's the top 70 kids. And when you think of what feeds that is the key wānanga or the key camps they have throughout the country that's open to all. And your individual schools will be really key here within your school first 15s. They've got a really comprehensive grasp and scope of individuals that are identified, but at the same time, it's those hidden gems that no one knew about. And we've seen that through young kids. Stanley Solomon was a good example that's highly talked about, that wasn't involved with the New Zealand secondary schools, and he was initially in our New Zealand Māori camp last year or year before, and then made the New Zealand 20s. So what that looks like for moving down from that tier to the regional areas, which is Te Tinia Māui, and I'll be lucky to be involved with that at a governance level, advocating for our individual rohe. So Taranaki have 2 delegates that we attend those hui to then be a part of the Hurricanes rohe, which Taranaki Māori attend and play our games under that banner. And then it moves on to the Te Tini tournaments, which will be coming up next year. And I guess pathway-wise for the 18 space is really important, because that's our future. So through the schools and then getting to the camps, whānau. So we'll be doing a lot of mahi to try and bring, or maybe it's a plug now, we might have to talk to Matua to try and bring one of the camps to Taranaki. What that's going to bring is all our kids that have that opportunity to be seen at those camps, but then be monitored through their high schools, and whatever high schools. We've seen kids make it from there's some schools that are smaller than Waitara that have been gems that have been monitored. So that's our mahi. Yeah.
Beautiful. Love the mahi that you guys are doing there within the Māori rugby space. Now, lastly, just to finish off your gym, let's speak about your gym. You're doing amazing mahi out there in Waitara. Such an important kaupapa, a place for whānau to elevate and exercise and get proactive in their movement. Tell us a little bit about this and what you envision for the future of your gym there and for the future of the rangatahi and the community of Waitara.
Just to continually stay open, Caps, is one of the highest taumata, because it's hard for us as Māori, and we make it loud. We're loud and proud. Waitara hard. We got whakairo throughout our gym, and we're loud and proud Māori, and our non-Māori whānau throughout Waitara that come, they know that, and that's beautiful. And for us, it's about continuing to grow our community, and we have a really healthy community of and as everyone knows, Waitara is not short of anyone very talented, and it's just about us maintaining the mover and shakers and the pillars of our community that can really get in behind a lot of our rangatahi and our kaumātua. And that's really where we want to look further to. Our space is fairly small, so we're open to any other space that could be bigger. However, it's doing well for what we've got, and the serviceability is only growing. So we're always building. And we're tired, but like our old people said, no matter how many jobs you've got going on, you mahia te mahi. The work is always hard. You just get really good at dealing with it. We just continue the mahi, and we survived through COVID, pre-COVID, post-COVID. And there's a lot of special kōrero there, and our mihi actually goes to our whānau within Waitara that always actually been there to ensure that, you know, we keep going and we keep providing. And they know sometimes I'll come in and I look half asleep and they might well have a day off, and I'm like, oh, I'd love to. But that's what we do, and I know you're the same with the kaupapa that you do, and not just league. I know you're heavily involved in all kaupapa, and I suppose that's encapsulates that same kōrero, that whatever it takes for our people, eh?
Well, Te Waiti, on behalf of, I'm sure, everyone at home listening, thank you for everything that you do for your community, for your people, for your sport, for multiple sports, for everything that you're a part of. You're a giver of many, and just keep doing the amazing work that you're doing. And for all of our whānau that need to join the gym, make sure you get out and join the gym at Waitara Health and Fitness, and get in and support our Māori Rugby too, who's doing some amazing stuff in the background. So thanks for coming on the show.
Oh, ngā mihi e hoa. Ngā mihi koutou ki te whānau no Taranaki. Kia ora.